Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. Last time, we started digging into Arjun William Patel's book, Mastering SIPs, a simple and beginner-friendly guide to financial success.
That's right. We covered the first 5 chapters, really getting into the basics of systematic investment plans, or SIPs, and how they work with mutual funds.
We talked about why they're great for beginners, but also useful for, more seasoned investors looking for that disciplined approach.
Exactly, laying that foundation.
And today, we're finishing our journey through the book. We're diving into the rest of it, Chapter 6 right through to the end, Chapter 11, plus the glossary or a bit about the author.
Yep, lots more ground to cover. We'll be looking at crucial stuff like avoiding common mistakes, some more advanced strategies like combining SIPs and SWPs.
SWPs, systematic withdrawal plans, right?
Precisely. And also, tracking your investments, lessons from recent market ups and downs like 2024, and some useful resources.
The goal, as always, is to pull out those key insights to help all of you listening make smarter, more informed investment choices. And just a reminder, this is a fantastic self-help financial book focusing on SIPs. If you want to grab your own copy after hearing this, it's available on Amazon. We've put the links right there in the description.
Definitely worth a read if you're serious about SIPs.
Okay, let's jump back in. Chapter 6. Common mistakes to avoid when investing in SIPs. Super important stuff here.
Oh, absolutely. Learning from potential pitfalls, it's, invaluable. This chapter really highlights things that can trip people up.
One that stood out immediately was relying too much on past performance. It's so tempting, isn't it? You see a fund did great last year and think, that's the one.
It is tempting, yeah. But the book rightly warns against it. Past performance, it really isn't a guarantee of future returns. Markets change, sectors heat up and cool down.
So what should we look at instead?
Well, the book points towards consistency. How is the fund done over, say, 3, 5, 10 years? Also, the expense ratio, will get more into that, and the quality of the fund management team. Don't just chase last year's winner.
Right. Sustainability over a flash in the pan. Makes sense.
Sustainable growth, exactly.
Yep.
Not just a lucky streak.
Another one was over-diversification. My first thought is always spread the risk thin, but apparently too thin isn't good either.
Yeah, that's a common misconception. Diversification is essential, no doubt. But if you have, 20 different funds, the gains in one might get canceled out by mediocrity elsewhere.
Dilutes the impact.
It dilutes the impact. The book suggests a more focused approach, maybe 3 to 5 funds, carefully chosen based on your goals and risk tolerance. Focused diversification, not just scattering your money everywhere.
Okay, focused diversification. I like that. Then expense ratios, you mentioned them. They always look so small, like 0.5% or 1%. Does it really matter?
Oh, it matters hugely over the long term. The book has this table, right? Ignoring expense ratio. It shows how even a tiny difference, say 1%, can eat away a massive chunk of your returns over 10, 20 years because of compounding working against you.
Wow. So those little numbers add up significantly.
They really do. It's like a slow leak in your investment returns. You've got to watch them.
Good point. The book also talks about aligning your SIPs with your goals. Sounds basic, but maybe easy to overlook.
Very easy. People might just pick funds that sound good or did well recently, but you need to match the fund type to your goals timeline.
Like what?
Like for short-term goals, maybe 1-3 years out, debt funds are usually safer. Midterm, 3-5 years, maybe balanced or hybrid funds. And for long-term goals, 5 years plus, equity funds generally offer better growth potential.
Matching the tool to the job. Got it.
Exactly. Your goals are the compass.
Okay, this next one hits home for many, I think. Stopping SIPs when the market gets rough. That panic button urge.
It feels intuitive, like stop the bleeding. But the book strongly advises against it. Why? Rupee cost averaging.
Explain that again quickly.
When the market dips, your fixed SIP amount buys more units of the fund because the price, the NAV, is lower. So when the market recovers, you benefit more because you own more units.
So stopping means you miss buying cheap units.
You miss the sale. Staying invested, especially during downturns, is crucial for long-term SIP success. Market dips are opportunities, not just threats.
Right, shifting perspective. What about reviewing? SIPs feel automated, like set and forget. Is that wrong?
It's not entirely set and forget. Automation is great, but you need periodic check-ins. The book suggests maybe annually or semi-annually.
To check what?
Check performance against the benchmark. Is your fund keeping up? Are your goals still the same? Have market conditions drastically changed? It's an ongoing process, not a one-off decision.
Okay, regular checkups, another practical point. Starting SIPs without an emergency fund.
Yeah, that's putting the cart before the horse. If you need cash unexpectedly and it's all tied up in SIPs, you might have to sell at a bad time, pay exit loads, miss out on growth.
So safety net first.
Absolutely. 3-6 months of living expenses set aside before you start investing aggressively. Secure your foundation first.
Makes sense. Then there's the idea of step-up SIPs, increasing your SIP amount over time.
Yes. As your income grows, bumping up your SIP contribution, even by just 5% or 10% a year, can seriously accelerate your wealth building. Compounding works on those larger amounts too.
Letting your savings grow with your earnings. Smart.
Very smart. The book shows an example of how much difference it makes.
Now, a reality check. SIPs aren't totally risk-free, right? Even safer ones.
Correct. Debt funds have risks like interest rate changes or credit defaults. Balanced funds have equity exposure, so they'll have volatility. No investment is truly risk-free. You need realistic expectations.
Understand the risks involved.
Always.
And the last mistake in Chapter 6, not exploring tax benefits, specifically ELSS.
Right, especially relevant in India. Equity-linked savings schemes, or ELSS funds, offer potential equity growth and tax deductions under Section 80C. Ignoring them could mean leaving tax savings on the table.
So leverage those tax advantages where possible. Okay, that covers the common mistakes. Let's move to Chapter 7. This sounds really interesting. From growth to income, the SIP-SWP Power Strategy.
Yeah, this is about connecting the dots using SIPs to build wealth, and then using systematic withdrawal plans, SWPs, to generate income from that wealth. Like you said, planting the tree, then harvesting the fruit.
So we know SIPs are for accumulation. What exactly is an SWP?
An SWP is basically the opposite. Instead of putting money in regularly, you take a fixed amount out regularly from your mutual fund investment.
Okay, so you build a corpus with SIPs over your earning years?
Ideally in growth funds like equity or hybrid.
And then when you need income, say in retirement, you switch to an SWP from that corpus.
Exactly. You might move the money to a slightly more stable fund, like a balanced or conservative hybrid fund, and then set up the SWP to draw a regular monthly or quarterly income. The rest stays invested and potentially keeps growing.
And the book mentions this can be more tax efficient than, say, just relying on fixed deposit interest.
That's a key advantage. FD interest is taxed at your regular income slab rate. SWP withdrawals from equity or hybrid funds, if held over a year, are treated as long-term capital gains.
Which are taxed lower, right?
Right. Currently, long-term capital gains on equity over $1 lakh per year are taxed at 10%. Short-term gains within a year are 15%. Depending on your tax bracket, this can be significantly better than FD interest taxation.
So, potential for regular income and tax savings. What are the main benefits the book highlights for combining SIP and SWP?
Well, it provides a clear path for your whole financial life cycle accumulation, then income generation. There's the tax efficiency we just talked about. It offers flexibility. You can often adjust the SWP amount, and it promotes discipline throughout.
The book uses an example, Rahul's retirement plan. Can you walk us through that quickly?
Sure. Rahul starts at $10,000 monthly SIP for 20 years. Assuming a 12% average return, he builds about 1 crore.
Okay.
Then he moves that crore to a balanced fund and starts an SWP of $50,000 per month. The idea is this provides income for potentially another 20 years, while the remaining corpus hopefully continues to grow somewhat.
That really illustrates the concept well. Is this SIP-SWP combo becoming popular?
The book says yes. Not just for retirees, but also for people planning for big goals, like kids' education, using SWP for phased payouts. It's quite versatile.
Any key tips from the chapter for implementing this?
Start SIPs early and be consistent. That's foundational. Choose the right funds. Growth for SIPs, maybe more stability for SWPs. Review regularly. Plan for tax efficiency with long-term holding periods. And always align it with your specific goals.
Great advice. Okay, Chapter 8 moves into tracking and reviewing your SIPs, not just setting them up, but monitoring them.
Absolutely crucial. You wouldn't plant a garden and never check on it, right? Same with investments. You need to track progress towards your goals.
How do you measure progress? What benchmarks should you use?
You need relevant benchmarks, like a yardstick. For a large-cap equity fund SIP, compare it to the Nifty 50 or Sensex index. For a mid-cap fund, maybe the Nifty Mid-Cap 150 index. For debt funds, maybe relevant debt indices or even FD rates.
Comparing apples to apples.
Exactly. Compare your fund's performance against its specific benchmark and maybe its category average.
How often should we do this review? Daily?
Weekly.
No, not daily. That leads to panic. The book suggests maybe half-yearly or annually. Take a measured look.
And during that review, what are you checking besides performance against the benchmark?
You're checking if you're still on track for your goals. Has anything changed in your life, goals, risk tolerance? Have there been major market shifts? Is the fund itself changing, like the fund manager?
Speaking of changes, when should you actually consider switching funds? Not just because it had a bad quarter, right?
Definitely not. Switching should be strategic. Reasons might include consistent underperformance, like lagging its benchmark and peers for maybe 3 years or more, or a major change in your own goals or risk appetite, or maybe a significant change at the fund, like a respected manager leaving.
And if you do decide to switch, what's the process?
First, check the costs, exit loads, and taxes on selling the old fund units. Then, research potential new funds that are a better fit. Once you've chosen, stop the old SAP and start a new one in the chosen fund.
Requires some homework then.
For sure. Don't switch impulsively. What about tools to help with tracking? The chapter mentions some.
Yeah, loads of tools now. Mobile apps like Grow, ET Money, Zero to Coin are popular. Most Funhouse websites have tracking portals. And there are consolidated account statements, or CAS, that show all your mutual fund holdings in one place.
So the tech makes it easier. Any final tips from this chapter on tracking?
Set clear milestones for your goals. Use those digital tools. Importantly, avoid emotional decisions during market swings. Stick to your plan. If you're unsure, maybe consult a financial advisor. And consider that step-up SIP thing we talked about review if you can increase contributions.
Good reminders. Now, Chapter 9 reflects on lessons from 2024. It sounds like that was a bit of a bumpy ride for investors.
The book definitely portrays 2024 as challenging. Market volatility, geopolitical stuff, inflation, weaker corporate earnings. It compares the market to unpredictable weather.
What was the impact on SIP returns specifically?
It mentions returns stagnated, so especially for equity funds, and SIP returns dipped below historical averages for many. This apparently led to some pessimism and, unfortunately, people pulling out prematurely.
Panic selling again. So what are the key lessons the book draws from that experience?
Several big ones. The power of patience remembering markets recover, citing things like the post-2008 rebound. The importance of diversification, balanced or hybrid funds likely cushion blows better than pure equity.
Ah, so diversification proved its worth.
Exactly. And rupee cost averaging, how SIPs help you benefit from downturns if you stay invested. And fundamentally, the need for a long-term perspective, 7-10 years or more, is often needed for equity SIPs.
So the core principles held true even in a tough year. What's the outlook presented?
Despite the 2024 challenges, the book remains positive overall, citing India's economic resilience, demographics, and growing retail investor participation as strong long-term factors.
And actionable tips based on 2024.
Stick to your SIPs. See dips as opportunities. Diversify wisely, include debt and hybrid. Review annually. Get professional advice if needed. And stay educated about the market. Pretty much reinforces the core messages.
Consistency and discipline are key, especially when things get rough. Okay, Chapter 10 sounds very practical. Useful resources for C-type investors. A toolkit chapter.
It is. It compiles various platforms and initiatives to help investors make informed decisions.
Let's run through a few. Investopedia.
Great for education. Financial concepts, strategies, product info, has specific SIP guides, calculators, explains things like rupee cost averaging and compounding really well. Ideal for beginners building foundational knowledge.
Okay, Grow.
More of an investment platform. You can compare funds side by side, track your portfolio, manage SIPs directly. Very user-friendly interface, good for exploring options and real-time tracking.
AMFI India. That's the industry body, right?
Yes, the Association of Mutual Funds in India. It's about regulation, transparency, investor protection. You get official fund performance data, SIP trends, guidelines. They have tools like calculators and NAV trackers too. Good for unbiased, authentic data.
And mutual funds, Sahi High.
That's AMFI's Investor Awareness Campaign. Uses videos, quizzes, interactive tools to educate, especially first-time investors. Aims to demystify mutual funds and encourage participation.
The book also lists others like ET Money, HDFC Bank's SIP page, Money Control, SBI mutual funds. Sounds like a lot of support out there.
There really is. ET Money for tracking and reminders. Bank pages for their specific offerings. Money Control for market news and analytics. Fund house sites like SBIs for their specific products and educational content.
So what's the main takeaway on using these resources?
Combine them. Use AMFI for official data, platforms like Grow for tracking, educational sites like Investopedia for learning. Set up alerts. Review regularly. Basically, engage in continuous learning and stay updated.
Makes sense. Use the ecosystem. All right, that brings us to the final chapter, Chapter 11, Navigating Your Financial Journey, plus the glossary and author info, kind of wrapping it all up.
Exactly. It reiterates the book's purpose to be a guide for informed decisions on SPs and mutual funds.
What are the final key messages or reminders in this chapter?
The big ones are, remember, investment involves risk. Past performance isn't a guarantee. Make decisions based on your personal goals, risk tolerance, and timeline.
Personalization is key.
Absolutely. And don't hesitate to consult a certified financial advisor for personalized advice. Stay informed about markets, the economy, regulations. Take responsibility for your decisions through research and learning.
And embrace the journey, right?
Yes, embrace it with commitment and adaptability. Investing is a marathon, not a sprint.
The glossary sounds helpful too. Lots of jargon in finance.
Very useful. It defines all those key terms, SAP, SWP, NAV, expense ratio, benchmarks in one place. A handy reference.
And finally, a little about the author, Arjun William Patel.
The book introduces him as a dedicated financial educator, passionate about simplifying investment concepts and making finance accessible to everyone. His goal is empowerment through knowledge.
Well, that concludes our deep dive into the second half of Mastering SIP-SWPs. We've covered a lot: avoiding mistakes, the SIP-SWP strategy, tracking, lessons from 2024, useful resources.
Yeah, the aim was really to equip you, our listeners, with those practical insights from the book to help you navigate your financial journey more confidently.
We really hope you'll take some time to think about how these ideas apply to your own situation, your own investment strategy. And again, if you want to explore the book further, Mastering SIP-SWPs, a simple and beginner-friendly guide to financial success, is on Amazon. Check the description for the links.
Absolutely. And just remember, financial learning is continuous. Disciplined investing, like through SIPs, can be incredibly powerful for building wealth over the long term. Stay curious. Stay informed.